Patriots head coach Bill Belichick insisting again last night that he didn't know anything about those deflated footballs.
We feel like we followed the rules of the game to the letter in our preparations, in our procedures, all right, and in the way that we handled every game that we've competitively played in.
But do the American people believe that Belichick and Tom Brady are telling the truth? Joining us now, Lee Carter, a partner at Meslinsky and Partners. Well, Belichick sounded like Albert Einstein yesterday. Maybe he got too tech. Did you guys see that yesterday? The last denial, he was throwing physics out there and everything. I mean, did anybody buy it?
No. I think the bottom line is the more details he gave, the more people turned off. They were like, stop being so defensive. Just say, I knew nothing about it, move on. If you really didn't know anything about it, that's the big question.
But people didn't buy that. So what are the results you're dial testing on this?
Basically, what we found out is that nobody believes that Belichick knew nothing. There's just no way. But interestingly, people said, you know what, I don't think that Brady knew anything about it. People love him. And it was a little bit strange because it's the opposite of what most of the commentators are saying on TV.
Interesting. Let's go to the tape. Watch this.
Came in Monday morning. I was shocked to learn of the news reports about the footballs. I had no knowledge whatsoever of this situation until Monday morning.
How do you grade this? Really, we give this one a C-. This was C-. This was the very start of his first press conference, and people said, you know, why are you talking about that you were shocked about the situation? Just tell us, no, I knew nothing about it. But they just said, you know, right off the bat, he seemed slow, he seemed a little bit behind, you know, on his heels. No one was buying what he was saying.
Yeah, and that's essentially what we're seeing on the cover of all the papers, too. The New York Post saying, Ball-Loney, Bull Belichick, instead of Bill Belichick there. We have one more soundbite to roll from his press conference where he's talking about making the practice balls difficult for his players to handle so that they're ready for any game situation. Let's see how people think about that.
I'm sure that any current or past player of mine would tell you that the balls we practice with are as bad as they can be. Wet, sticky, cold, slippery, whatever, however bad we can make them.
Like as he starts to describe the ball's conditions, that folks are feeling like,
you know,
not buying
are
it.
we looking at the extent to which people believe what he's saying? Is that what this is measuring?
Yeah, and so they didn't believe it at all. I mean, basically, and people said in this, they're like, why are you talking about the practice balls? That has nothing to do with game day balls. If you think about swimmers, they go on with extra weight when they're practicing, and then they go on optimal solutions. So they're saying, you know what, absolutely an F. I don't believe what he's saying, and like just enough.
And what about pretty boy Tom Brady? It seems like folks are buying a little bit more of what he's selling. Watch this.
Our equipment guys do a great job of breaking the balls in. You know, they have the process that they go through. When I pick those footballs out, at that point, you know, to me, they're perfect. I don't want anyone touching the balls after that. I don't want anyone rubbing them, you know, putting in the air in them, taking the air out. To me, those balls are perfect, and that's what I expect when I show up on the field.
So it stayed pretty steady. People can't see past the batting of the eyelashes.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, what people said, look, is he said the word balls 89 times in 10 minutes. It was a little bit ridiculous. He was making a joke almost of it. And they said, look, if he was really guilty, do you think he'd get on there and make a joke out of it? But I'm not so sure myself, but I was really surprised. Folks gave him a B+. They bought what he was saying, and they kind of felt like it was humorous.
Could it be they just like him?
I think so. It could well be. A lot of people really, really do like him.
Or they just don't want to believe it, right?
Yeah.
Not to put guilt on either one of them. But.
I mean, what they all said is that they think that the Patriots cheated. Yeah. But it was a question of who they thought was responsible for it.
Belichick has a lot more baggage, too. I mean, Belichick is one of these guys who has a reputation for winning at any cost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, I know your job is just to measure sentiment, but what's your sentiment? Do you believe him?
You know, this is kind of the opposite of what I thought. I think that there's no way that Brady could go out there and not know. I mean, how does he not know his balls?
Yeah, it's like a mathematician not knowing there are fewer numbers on his calculator. Yeah,
absolutely, right? How could you possibly? This is a guy that's been playing football for at least 30 years now. How could he not know?
Good question.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you.